Hey, whoa, look at this. It's Rumor and Innuendo. It's a Monday. I'm Dominic D'Angelo of adfreeshows.com, SEScoops.com, and OneTrueSport.com. But, guys, man, look who is back. It is Robert Karpelis, WE Creative _ish. I'm glad I still remember you, Robert. Holy smokes.
Dude, it is good to be back. Happy July, everybody. Sorry about the delay. A little bit of it was work. Had some people kept trying to schedule meetings for me during the time that we record Rumor and Innuendo, and that's just not cool, guys. And then last week, Thursday and Friday, I was off. I was on vacation with my wife celebrating her birthday, so had a hell of a lot of fun. Nobody poolside, Dom, stopped to ask my take on Forbidden Door. I was personally offended.
I would be too. Highly offended. What about Beach Break since you were on a break? Anything about that?
I have not watched Beach Break yet.
Oh, okay.
This is so full disclosure, kids. I got back yesterday from the trip yesterday afternoon, so I watched SmackDown from Friday. I watched Money in the Bank. I figured I will get to Dynamite outside of a still image that I saw all over my social media timeline of MJF cradling Danny Garcia in his arm with this bugged out look. I know nothing of what happened.
Wow.
When I'm away, I try to go on a media blackout because I don't want stuff to be spoiled.
Yeah.
Deep down at the end of the day, just like everybody who's tuning in, I'm a wrestling fan at heart.
Right. I was the same way too with Money in the Bank this weekend. Is I waited till I could sit down and watch it, and I avoided spoilers as much as I could and everything like that. It's just good to do, I think.
I completely agree. Look, I used to have this issue with SmackDown, where because it was taped on a Tuesday and then it would air on a Thursday or a Friday, the spoilers were out there. But it's like, you know what? I want to sit. I want to enjoy it myself. I want to watch it as a fan. I don't like spoilers. I don't like spoilers for movies, TV shows, any of that nonsense. I just want to go in, be able to turn my brain off and love it, which was a real challenge when I worked at WWE because the show would have happened on Tuesday. There's feeds. People are doing edits. So they're working on video packages and graphics and all that. And during the time when I wasn't on creative and I was doing production work for WWE 24/7, it's like I just don't want to know what happened. And then I found out there was a way for me to internally watch the feed myself, which I would never do because that is a violation of confidentiality. But hypothetically, theoretically, if it popped up, I wasn't going to push stop.
Yeah, right. There's no reason.
But we got a ton of stuff to talk about. I'm glad that the wrestling world survived for a week while I was not here, just barely hanging on by a thread. And thank you to all of the wonderful guest hosts that we had who filled in for me while I was away. Part of my blackout, I didn't get a chance to catch the last couple episodes, but I'm sure they were blockbusters.
Hey, they were great. Yeah, I appreciate Robert DeFelice subbing in basically the whole week last week. And we also had Blue Meanie. We had Kevin Kellum. We had a good, diverse group of folks.
Oh, it was nice that Kevin Kellum showed up.
Yeah, that's right.
I love Kevin. There was an episode the week prior where it was just me talking, and I'm like, oh, my co-host will be on any moment because Dom's like, oh, shoot, I got to do the Tony Khan press conference. Kevin's going to fill in. He's just got to finish doing his, radio show that's heard all across the Chicago area. And I'm like, oh, he'll be on any second. Like waiting for the Great Pumpkin. I'm just standing there in a patch talking to myself. And we survived. I had the Rumor and Innuendoans enjoying that 30-minute filibuster. But we're back, dude. You got your Pirates hat on. Pittsburgh, they've been killing it.
They have been.
Part of late.
It's been very entertaining season so far for the Pirates.
I mean, probably since like the Leland era.
Right? Yeah, it's basically that. Yeah, that's when we last got our taste of near victory. But
and then the Marlins got him, and we won a World Series with that dude.
How about it, 93, man?
How about it? Thanks, Bros. How about Money in the Bank, my man?
How about Money in the Bank? Yeah, very newsworthy show for several reasons. But Robert, let me just get your overall take. What'd you think of it? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Sorry, you froze for a second.
Oh, yeah. Let me just. I just wanted your overall take of the show. What'd you think?
It was a fine show.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good show. I don't know that I would necessarily say it was a great show, an unbelievable event. And it's tough because in this Paul Triple H Levesque PLE era, we've gotten so many blowaway events that just having a really good 3 hour, I keep wanting to say pay per view, and it's not. A
Right.
3 hour PLE is okay. There was nothing on this show that was inherently bad, with one minor moment we'll get to. It was a newsworthy show. I thought the matches, for the most part, delivered. There was some booking decisions that I was questionable about, but I have this overall confidence that they know what they're doing. They're going somewhere with the story. And I think that's what helps.
I'm with you too, and I think you know, in the grand scheme of their PLEs and everything like that with Money in the Bank, it feels like furthering the story more so, building towards SummerSlam, building towards the big events that they have going on. And I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that. We had some good matches, I think, on the card. There were some missteps, but yeah, let's get to it. We'll go chronologically.
Of
Men's
course, we
Money
go
in the Bank.
chronologically. You know how we do it here,
Well, that's
guys.
how we do it here. I did not go chronologically when you were away. Let me just say that.
Well, to be fair, if you tried to cover everything that happened on Forbidden Door, this would have been a
Oh,
7-hour show.
yes.
We
would have to make a Jerry Lewis marathon going on here.
telethon. It's Jerry Lewis telethon, which,
Oh,
by the
thank
way,
you.
is that's Labor Day, not 4th of July. And
That's
this will end with me singing "You'll Never Walk Alone."
good. That's good. All right, we had Jey Uso, Carmelo Hayes, Andrade, Chad Gable, LA Knight, and Drew McIntyre. The men's Money in the Bank ladder match. Drew McIntyre wins. Yeah. How was this for an opener for you, Robert?
It was the right opener. We didn't get a chance to do previews last week, but it kind of felt like this is where the winds were shifting. You start off with something big. You want to put some distance with the men's Money in the Bank match, the women's Money in the Bank match, and you wanted to be able to tease that cash in during the show because of Drew. And everybody knew. I mean, as soon as Drew came out, CM Punk chants all over the place.
Oh yeah.
Toronto, they did their homework. They knew what was going to happen. As soon as Drew won, you instantly cared more about that Damian Priest Seth Rollins match than you were going to otherwise. As much as I would have liked to have seen Jey Uso win, it now signals to me that we are going to get a much longer Gunther title reign than I think we initially anticipated.
Yeah.
Once you take the briefcase off the table, and it is now no longer an option, the only way someone's beating Gunther is in a straight up one-on-one match for the world title that he has not won yet. But who are we kidding, kids? So the idea that the Money in the Bank briefcase was sort of the only bullet that was floating around out there, that only little bit of kryptonite that may bring down this monster, and now it's off the table, means we're going to have to wait until next July to potentially get your next viable challenger to beat Gunther and take that title from him. So it was an interesting decision. I'm curious how that's going to impact Jey Uso, who's now going to be a little directionless.
Yeah, I think, especially for the time being when it comes through SummerSlam to WrestleMania season, I think you can kind of get once Roman gets back in the mix and things like that, you can kind of get a original bloodline reunion going, and then have a feud furthering with that. But yeah, for the time being, where do you put Jey Uso at this moment in time? And it's I think a different kind of situation. But I noticed that a lot of fans were upset that the Money in the Bank was just there and gone, and in comparison to last year, where Damian Priest went 10 months, 8 months with the briefcase, now you have it something that's off the table. It's a good storytelling element. They did what I think it was totally fine what they did, and I had no issue with that already being off the table, Robert.
I didn't mind it. Drew already called his shot and said, when I win this thing, I'm cashing it in that night, and I'm going to win the title.
Yeah.
People like this idea of they want to see a cool cash in. And if it was any of the other 5, it wasn't going to work. And the reason being, Carmelo Hayes, tremendous talent. He's not ready to be world champion. And I don't think he can survive a cash-in failure. We saw what happened to Baron Corbin.
Right.
LA Knight, he's destined to go after the U.S. title, and Logan Paul, that's sort of the right space for him. Gable could have been fun, but Gable with the briefcase and Gunther with the title is not a cool chase situation. And then it's Jey Uso winning his first world title. Do you really want him winning it in a fluke? Do you want him cashing in, winning sort of the coward's way? Yes, it's legal and it's the rule, but it's not the way that you want Jey Uso to win his first world title, unless straight up, I'm challenging you to a one-on-one match, mano a mano, which always comes across as foolish. All due respect to your co-host, Mr. Rob Van Dam.
Hey, it paid off for him. That's for sure. Well, yeah, let's go to the next match here. Io Sky, Chelsea Green. Oh, this wasn't the next match. Jeez. I have the original card preview here. So we had Sami Zayn taking on Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental Championship. Head scratcher of a finish. Can't say I was necessarily a fan of it. I did like the match, but weird finish, Robert.
This is the one where I said a few minutes ago, it's like I'm trying to trust in the process, which is difficult for me to do.
Yeah.
You want to be an armchair quarterback. You want to be a Monday morning quarterback, have that knee-jerk reaction and say, what do you mean Braun Breaker lost? I was a little surprised. I was a little surprised at Sami champion going into this match.
Yeah.
I would like to have seen him in the Money in the Bank match itself. I think there would have been some value to that, to tease, Sammy getting that Money in the Bank briefcase. He's also never been world champion, because now you're going to SummerSlam. And is there a compelling matchup for Sami Zayn for SummerSlam? Outside of a rematch with Braun Breaker, I would say no. The hope is that Braun losing in this form of fashion is going to ignite a more fired up, a more just out of control Braun Breaker, and maybe we'll see him go after Sami. It's like, can Sami really escape this guy twice? Didn't love the finish, and what I said a couple weeks ago with this booking that did concern me is you run the risk of the crowd turning on Sami.
Yeah,
and it felt like that.
Yeah, I don't think the crowd was all that enthused. I think they were really expecting this title change to happen. And, I think you have that, if you have Braun win, you already heat him up as the Intercontinental Champion. It means a lot. You're taking a risk by having him lose and then trying to further the feud, or waiting until SummerSlam to have it pay off, because, yeah, you could potentially lose that momentum in between that now and then. So I don't know. I was not a fan of the finish. I thought the match itself was good, but yeah, it left me scratching my head at the end.
I would not have fed Ricochet the way that they did to Braun Breaker if they were not intending to just go full bore and let this guy be a monster.
Right.
Especially because you could have had Braun Breaker win here and do a Braun Breaker Ilya Dragunov rematch at SummerSlam for the Intercontinental title and let those guys just go at it.
100%. Yeah. And that would have been a really, really intriguing matchup. You could tell a great story within 4 weeks' time between those two too, as well. So,
but again, we're trying to give Hunter the benefit of the doubt. I'm sure they didn't just do this haphazard. I'm sure this is not a WCW situation where Sami was not willing to drop the title. He knows. And to hammer that home further, right after he was off stage, the next guy out there, John Cena.
Yeah. Cena came out very unexpected. And Trish Stratus was the quote-unquote host of the show. And yes, Cena made an earth-shattering announcement when it comes to the wrestling world. He is retiring in 2025. And he's going to do basically a retirement tour, saying he'll be there at Royal Rumble, he'll be there at Elimination Chamber, and he'll be there at WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas. Yeah, obviously pretty big news for pro wrestling. And Cena just stating out, calling his shot, and building something for his end of WWE run. So what do you think of that, Robert?
Smart booking. He has not really been a factor for the last 5 years. So him getting a chance to do the retirement tour, knowing that his former brother-in-law, Bryan Danielson, is sort of doing the same thing, is fun. We've seen John be used to put over guys of late. He tried it with Austin Theory. It was sort of a mixed bag. We've seen him come back and put over Roman Reigns strong, which is always nice. As far as dream matches that are left, there's probably 2 or 3 that leap off the page. The first one, Feeding him to Gunther is attractive because him getting a chance to break Flair's record, if he's only got less than a year of active competition, you kind of want to see that. Same time, we have not really gotten a Cody Rhodes, John Cena one-on-one match, which for a Royal Rumble where you need something for Cody to do after you finish the solo feud, I don't hate that. I don't hate a little mutual respect match. Right here, Dre Owens suggested the third one, which is you know what? I'm not logged in, so I can't put stuff on the screen. Oh, there it is. Cena versus Braun at WrestleMania. That could certainly be an intriguing one. I think it's going to make every time we see John now a little bit more special than if it's just, hey, he's popping back up. And in all honesty, his retirement is retiring from active competition. I still think we will see John Cena in one-off spots for another 5-10 years to come.
You think he'll still do matches and stuff moving forward too after this?
You know what? I think he will. He's still a relatively young man. He can still perform at peak levels. And Dom.
Oh, yes.
If you're looking to perform at peak levels, can we talk to you about Blue Chew? Our next sponsor needs no introduction. You've seen the ads. You've heard us talk about it a million times. And I bet there's a big part of you, pun intended, that wants to try it. What am I talking about? Blue Chew. That's right. This isn't your grandpa's blue pill. This is the one, like Carmelo Hayes, the OG chewable tablet for better sex. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but at a fraction of a cost and in a chewable form. The process is simple. Sign up at bluechew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. Blue Chew tablets are made in the USA and prepared and shipped directly to your door. The best part, it's all done online. No visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead or be ready whenever an opportunity arises. Blue Chew wants you to have better sex. Discover your options at bluechew.com. Chew it and do it, because Blue Chew wants the entire country rock hard, just like Dwayne Johnson at WrestleMania. Blue Chew has told me this is their mission, and they will not stop until every man is bricked up like a brick house, till every tent is pitched, till every rod is raised. Discover your options at bluechew.com. Guys, this is why some wrestlers don't do great with scripted promos. I'm working off new copy that Blue Chew has sent me. But you know what? While this might not deliver, Blue Chew absolutely will. And you can't see me from below the waist. But if I had some Blue Chew right about now, you wouldn't be able to miss it. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code RUMOR at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's bluechew.com, promo code RUMOR. To receive your first month free. Visit bluechew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring this episode of Rumor and Innuendo. I did not realize new copy until I started reading this, and then realized, oh no, these are different words.
Well, I gotta say, I thought that was all you. I thought you were just shooting from the hip there. I did not know that.
No. Sorry, no. That was not a. That was when you pop a Blue Chew and you're in bed with the missus, with the lady. It'd be a lot less awkward than me trying to get through some of that Blue Chew read right there. But we're back. We're feeling it. We're doing well. It could be worse, Dom. Because what could happen is you could take that Blue Chew and nothing might happen, and you'll forget to move after those 3 seconds.
That's it.
By the way, what's our next match?
Yes, Damian Priest defending his WWE World Championship against Seth Rollins. If Damian Priest lost, he must leave the Judgment Day. If Seth Rollins loses, he can't compete for the World Heavyweight Championship against Priest during his reign. And that's exactly what happened, was the latter. But in a very weird fashion, because, yes, there was that 3 count that was made that looked like there was no shoulder up whatsoever, and an awkward pause before Drew McIntyre came out and cashed in his Money in the Bank, prompting CM Punk to come out too. Robert, I was enjoying the match up until that point, and Yeah, just kind of a bummer in regards to how it all got laid out and executed.
It was a hell of a match up until Damian Priest forgot that this is a wrestling match and you need to, lift the old shoulder up.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things that they've always told referees, you treat it like it's a sport, and if the guy doesn't get his shoulder up, that's on him. However, there was so much falling action that was going to occur after that, you really couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Part of it were the stipulations that were attached to this match. So if Priest would have gotten pinned right there, hey, guess what? He's out of the Judgment Day. There goes the Finn Balor, fissure that's being created with him and Damian Priest. That's not good. There goes the Drew McIntyre cash in, because the match is over. Now he's cashing in on Seth, and it's a one-on-one match, which would make Punk's interference even that more confusing, because the idea here is you wanted to set up the tension between Punk and Seth Rollins. So you kind of booked yourself into a corner where you had to do something. And the idea was just, oh, no, he kicked out. Let's just not show a replay and let's just keep going. Not ideal, but we kind of got to the eventual outcome that we needed, which was Priest is still champion, so he can go face Gunther. Rollins is angry, justifiably so, at Punk. Drew is trying to kill everyone, which spilled over to the post-show press conference. Had you been there, I feel like you would have stopped Drew.
I would have stopped it. Hands down, I would have gotten in the middle of it. I know I shouldn't, being a journalist, it's you got to remain impartial, but sometimes confrontations happen. You got to put an end to it.
So, yeah, you know what? We're getting our SummerSlam matches out of this. Seth, hopefully now, has something, because he's just been wandering directionless.
Yes. It's going to be
his promo
Go ahead.
I was going to say, his promo last week was such local kiss up nonsense when they were in Boston.
Yeah.
It's like she's not a generic babyface.
Mm-mm.
I love the Red Sox and the Bruins and the Celtics, and I'm gonna win just like them. And I'm like, oh God, please don't be this guy.
No. He's got he's got a little motivation for what to build up to come with Punk and Drew and all that stuff. But I mean, yeah, he's another one that could get what's next for him, kind of. And I thought him losing too, even before this happened, all that happened, was going to be put a big question mark on what his direction will be. He was another name that could maybe go up against Cena at Mania and make it feel something good. But
the idea is for Cena to retire, not be almost permanently paralyzed.
That's a good point.
All due respect to Sting.
There we go. All right. Let's talk about the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Tiffany Stratton wins it after what was a wild match. Maybe the match of the night. I at least thought it was. What did you think, Robert?
I agree. The women outshone the men here significantly. We've seen this at a couple of shows. Women's Elimination Chamber match, Women's Royal Rumble, previous Women's Money in the Bank. They know to step up. They positioned this match beautifully with the competitors that were in there. Tiffany Stratton was the person we all earmarked to win, and she was the right person to win. Mm-hmm. But the match was interesting. It was fun. Chelsea Green continues to show how valuable she is. The only one that does concern me, and concerns may be a strong word, is Lyra Valkyria does not seem to be connecting with the audience.
You don't think so? I get it from a starting point, but what she does in the ring is really, really impressive, I think. And she's very
wildly talented.
Yeah. And I was thinking, and I mentioned this on my other show, was that I think seeing down the road, years to come, I could imagine her and Tiffany Stratton being a great, great rivalry moving forward.
Absolutely.
I think there's some embers to there that's gonna, things are gonna cook up for her. I think. I'm not too concerned in that regard. I don't think, but
makes me want Ember Moon back. But yeah.
So there we go.
Great match, great finish. Crowd was super into it. Made total sense. And then there was the main event.
Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, and Kevin Owens taking on the Bloodline. And we had Jacob Fatu. He was a big pivot point in that match. He was very much talked about on there. And Yeah, I thought it was for a main event. It was a main event match, and it felt like that, and it was different than all the other ones that we saw earlier in the evening. So, what'd you think of this closing out the show? Bloodline wins under nefarious means, but no follow up afterwards, really either. It was just that was it, and that was the show.
Yeah. I thought it was fine. I thought it felt like a TV main event.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like you knew you were getting the Money in the Bank matches. They wanted to put one of the world champions on in the main event. So be it. Perhaps it would have been more compelling to save Rollins and Priest for the end. But
Mm-hmm.
then it's like, well, you just beat your baby faces to the bloodline, and then they just go to the back and everybody's happy instead of the match ending. People were convinced that we were going to see a Randy Orton heel turn here. So I think part of this was people booked themselves into a situation that wasn't going to happen, and then they're disappointed. It was a very solid match. Jacob Fatu looked great. Solo getting the win because of Fatu was fun storytelling. As Wrestling Old Head points out, Tongaloa with the butt punch was move of the match. Yeah, that was an unfortunate moment right there. But it's crazy that Tama Tonga, Jacob Fatu are already in the main event.
Yeah. How crazy is that? And I don't think there's nothing wrong with that either. Like you want certain stars to feel like a big
Fatu
deal.
feels like a big deal.
Yeah, feels like a big deal. Exactly. He does. And it's going to be very hard for him not to overshadow everybody else in the bloodline, but I also think that's okay. I think that's okay because I think Solo Sikoa is doing a very good job in his role right now, like as this guy that's underappreciated, he feels like, but he's very understated in his facials and expressions and everything in the ring. And I think that's what you need in that role right now. And I think he's doing a very good job at it. So, yeah, I was good with the main event. Man, let me say though, Randy Orton, he looks like he took the secret of the ooze because he's like super Randy Orton right now. He's big, he's massive. It's just crazy to see
See,
it.
that would have been the time for a Blue Chew ad.
It would have been.
But
Next
you know
time,
what?
Robert.
No, next time, Gadget. We've got Raw tonight. The big story here: Drew McIntyre is suspended. Punk is fined, and he won't be there. We're trying to kick the can down the road to get to SummerSlam. They've announced Jey Uso versus Chad Gable, and then Damage Control versus and a fine 6-woman match with folks being banged up. Judgment Day and Carlito versus Braun, Miz, and R-Truth. That's where I'll be trying very hard not to fall asleep.
Yeah, I was not taken aback by the card tonight. I'll say that much at least.
Well, but the good matches, the Liv and Dom versus Ray and Zelina Vega, that could be fun. This felt like they were planning for a lot of people taking a lot of big spots the night before. We don't want to really hurt any. We don't want to risk any further injury, and it's beginning to tell the story of Gunther and Priest.
Yeah.
And,
I think that's kind of what's the most intriguing aspect of this is what's the future for the Judgment Day hold after all this stuff. And, Damian Priest is kind of, frustrated by the fact that there was interference and he didn't get a definitive win. So it'll be intriguing to see how they follow up with that.
It'll be intriguing. We'll talk more about the fact that Ethan Page is now the NXT champion. Some Ethan Page news that we will get to. But quite frankly, guys, we don't have time for it today. This was a packed episode, and we can't let you get out of here today without learning all the...
That's right. I got plenty on the plate. Premiering tonight was the RVD, one of a kind with RVD episode. We did July 4th, so we talk about all the American themed wrestlers. It's a really, really fun episode. Lots of great stories. He has an awesome story about Eddie Guerrero too. You have to keep an eye out for that he shares. So that is dropping at 4:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on rvdtv.com. So subscribe to that, get the word out about it. And then Magnum TA and Greg Gagne, we talk about gimmick matches and stuff like that on the latest episode, and just some good content there. So go to fullhorsemanetwork.com, check that out, and you can see all my articles and stuff like that at secoops.com. Robert, what do you got cooking?
I got Working Stiff, Dan St. Germain, Scott Chaplin, the birthday boy himself,
Yeah.
Mike Lawrence, and myself get together every week, and we talk all the fun things wrestling. This past week, it was Dan and Scott showing a little Forbidden Door. They were there in person, so it was fun to hear a little insight of that. We'll be back rolling with that this week, but I will be back here the rest of the week, guys, Monday through Friday at noon Eastern across a plethora social media platforms, including the WW Creative _ISH, X account the Dominic D'Angelo, X account the SE Scoops, X account the Rumor and Innuendo, X account the Working Stiff, X account and on YouTube. On the Working Stiff YouTube page, the Rumor and Innuendo YouTube page, and when not being invaded by that damn Jeff Jarrett. Here's to you, Hangman Page, my new favorite wrestler.
Oh my!
Yeah, take that, Double J. But you guys can take heed in the fact that we will be here every day, every week, all summer long, all new episodes. It's going to be a blast. So on behalf of the Pittsburgh Pirate himself, Dominic D'Angelo, I'm Robert Karpolis. Best of luck in your future endeavors.
Hey, let's go Bucks.